Dust on the Red, Episode 1. By the time the first call to prayer drifted across the jejunal, Zainab Bello was already awake. She stood at the narrow window of her one-room apartment, watching the early buses cough smoke into the pale morning and traders drag their wooden tables into place like tired soldiers returning to duty. Lagos never truly slept, but there was a small, fragile quiet before the city remembered itself. That was the moment Zainab loved most. Today was supposed to change her life. Zainab had returned to Nigeria only 3 months earlier. After 7 difficult years in the UK, her father's sudden death had pulled her back home, along with a sealed envelope delivered by a lawyer who barely met her eyes when he handed it over. Inside was a single document and a short handwritten note. Come to Ogbomosho. There are things you do not know about me. And about you? She had ignored the letter for weeks, busy trying to survive Lagos freelancing as a data analyst, sending proposals that vanished into silence, and helping her younger brother, Sadiq, adjust to life after university with no job and too much anger. But yesterday, a message arrived on her phone. The land is being sold today. If you want answers, come now. So she boarded the night bus. By sunrise, the red dust of Oyo State coated her shoes and the hem of her jeans. Ogbomosho looked smaller than her childhood memory, quieter too, as if time had chosen to walk around it instead of through it. The family house still stood at the edge of the old road, its faded green paint peeling like wounded skin. A crowd had gathered in the compound. Men in crisp kaftanes spoke in low, serious voices. Women whispered under their breath. Plastic chairs were arranged in neat rows beneath the mango tree. A land meeting. Zainab felt her chest tighten. At the center of it all stood Kunal Adebayo. She recognized him immediately, though she had not seen him since she was 16. Tall, well-dressed, and calm in the way powerful men often are. Kunal now owned a construction company that was quietly buying up land across the town for a proposed industrial park, and apparently he had chosen her father's land as the project's final piece. When Kunal's eyes met hers, something flickered: recognition, surprise, and then careful control. Zainab, he said, stepping forward. You finally came. Her aunt, Mama Sola, pulled her aside before she could reply. They are saying your father promised this land long ago, the older woman whispered. Connell says everything is legal. Zainab looked around the compound. This land was not just property. It was where her mother had taught her to ride a bicycle, where her father had prayed every dawn beneath the mango tree, where generations of their family were buried. I need to see the documents, Zainab said quietly. Connell did not hesitate. He handed her a brown file. Everything was in order. The signatures, the stamps, even her father's thumbprint. Only one thing felt wrong. The date. The agreement had been signed 3 days before her father's death. Zainab felt cold spread slowly through her hands. Your father was sick, Connell said softly, as if reading her thoughts. But he was very clear about what he wanted. Why? Zainab asked. He paused. For development. For the future. She closed the file. The crowd shifted. A local chief cleared his throat, ready to conclude the meeting. But Zainab stepped forward. There is a clause missing, she said. The murmurs grew louder. This land includes the old community borehole. It cannot be sold without the approval of the cooperative society. My father was the current chairman. Silence. Connell's eyes narrowed for the first time. That approval is in process, he said. Zainab shook her head. No, it is not. She knew because she had helped her father digitize the cooperative records during her last visit home 2 years earlier. The database still lived on her laptop, and no request had ever been made. Connell smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. We can resolve this privately. She followed him a few steps away from the crowd. Why are you really doing this? Zainab asked. Connell exhaled slowly. You think this is just about land? She said nothing. You left, he continued. Some of us stayed. We built things from nothing. We made compromises. Her phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. Check your father's email. Subject: if anything happens to me? Her breath caught. Kanel noticed the change in her face. Zainab, he said quietly, walk away from this. Take the compensation. You'll start your life again in Lagos. You don't want to dig into old stories. She turned from him without answering. She opened her phone and logged into her father's email. There it was. A draft message. Never sent. My daughter, if you are reading this, it means they did not forgive me. I kept records. I kept names. The land is not the real battle. The real battle is the money that passed through this town 5 years ago, and the people who made it disappear. Attached was a folder, bank transfers, project codes, and one familiar name, Kanel Adebayo. Zainab closed her eyes. The mango leaves rustled above her like restless witnesses. When she returned to the gathering, her voice was steady. This meeting cannot continue, she said to the chief. There are legal issues beyond land ownership. I will submit a formal petition before the end of today. The crowd stirred. Whispers turned sharp. Kanel's calm finally cracked. You don't know what you're starting, he said under his breath. Zainab met his gaze. I know exactly what I'm starting. As she walked back toward the old house, red dust clinging to her steps, she realized something with sudden clarity. She had not come home to protect land. She had come home to finish the fight her father never lived to complete. And somewhere between Lagos and Ogbomosho, between grief and truth, her life had quietly become something far more dangerous than she ever planned. Episode 2 will be posted soon. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.